So Jamar Chase talked about his contract situation, where again, keep in mind next year he is eligible for an extension. But before next year happens, Justin Jefferson will most likely get a contract. And here's what he had to say about the whole thing. I hope he sets the market for me. Now, here's the situation going on, right? Justin Jefferson or Jay Jettis, either one. His nickname is Jay Jettis. His name is Justin Jefferson. He is the best receiver in the league, right? He currently needs a new contract. He wants a new contract. He's been very vocal about wanting a new contract. The Vikings are gonna have to pay him a new contract, right? Now, luckily for the Vikings, they aren't really paying anyone a lot of money. I mean, the quarterback, Kirk Cousins, isn't making that much money. They just got rid of the running back. The receivers outside of, Jay Jettis, Adam Thielen's gone. They drafted the guy in the first round, so they have a first round pick there. Their line isn't costing that much, and their defense isn't costing that much. So it's a situation where they can go out there and give Jay Jettis all the money in the world, right? Because they don't really have a, set amount that they have to set aside for other players, right? And at this moment in time, they don't even have a quarterback in the wings behind Cousins that's going to take over and be the future Hall of Fame quarterback for them, right? So that's going to be the problem. Now, right now, the most expensive receiver in football, the highest paid receiver in football, is Tyreek Hill. He's making around 30 some odd a year, right? So to set the market for Jay Jettis, he's going to want more money than 30 a year. Now, most likely, they're going to give him a 3-year extension, add on to his final year of his contract now, giving him a 4-year contract, and most likely putting him in a ballpark range of around 105, 110 million total. It's very possible it's way more than that. It honestly could be a 5-year contract, and it could be up to 150 million. Again, it really depends on what the Vikings want to do, because Jay Jettis is in his prime. He has plenty of time left to be amazing, but I think how Jay Jettis is going to think is, let me get a 3 or 4 year contract, and then I'm going to get paid again in 3 or 4 years, because he'll still be the best receiver in football, right? And I think that's what he's kind of thinking, / theorizing. It's actually something that Larry Tunzel of the Houston Texans, what he has perfected, was every 3 years you get a new contract. And the reason why you do that is because if you know you're going to be good and you are good, every 3 years you get a new contract, especially offensive linemen. You can obviously play till you're like 40 years old. You just keep getting paid. You just keep getting those big signing bonuses, big paychecks, and you just keep racking in the cash. And that's kind of what Larry Tunsil did. And it's very possible that's what Jay Jettis does. But if he does sign a 5-year contract, again, it would probably be 5 years. I'd say 160 million, because I'm going to guess he wants at least 32 a year, which again will set the market. Now, here's the problem / dilemma. If Jay Jettis gets 32 a year, 150 million, Jamar Chase is going to want more money than that, right? Now, the good thing is, from now to next year, there is no receiver outside Jay Jettis who's going to get a crazy contract. Now, the reason why I say that is because, as we know this offseason, we had Jalen Hurts, then we had, what's his name? Herbo, then we had Joe Burrow now getting a contract. So we had a couple of different players that, were resetting the market over and over and over again, right? So when that does happen, then you have players, constantly, okay, 32 mil is the average. Okay, so the next guy gets 33 mil. Okay, so 33 mil is the average now. The next guy gets 34 mil, right? So it becomes a never-ending cycle of just over and over and over and over again. So my guess is, again, I'm going to guess that Jay Jettis gets 32 a year. If he gets 32 a year, that means Jamar Chase is going to at least get 33, 34. And that's a lot of money, guys. That is definitely a lot of money. Now, I think Jamar Chase, with how he is as a guy, meaning like, a person here, I think he's going to try to work with us to, the best he can, because he said it himself. He believes the best quarterback in the game is Joe Burrow, and he's not going to want to leave us or go anywhere else, and he wants to stay here with his quarterback. And so I don't think that, in any way he's going to not want to structure his contract to help us out in a way, right? Now, obviously, it's all going to come down to how Joe Burrow structures his contract, because if Joe can structure his contract so it's more lenient for us, then we can put money aside for players like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But the whole situation is going to be kind of interesting to see how it figures out, because of the fact that, again, that's 35 mil. And my expectation is we sign T this year, sometimes this year, or at the very least, we franchise tag him. And if we franchise tag him, I believe that's 25 mil. So again, there's like so many different things, and then you can franchise tag a player 3 times, but every time you franchise tag him, the contract goes up, I think, 110% the second year, and it's 150% the third year. So there's all these different stipulations if you do franchise tag a player, but my guess is, we'll probably work out a contract this year with T. We'll also get under contract Joe Burrow, but then Jamar Chase, he's going to want, again, 35 a year, probably 32, 33 a year, which what you can do with him, because again, he's a receiver, he's young, it's not like he's like about to hit 30 years old, right? He has a time period here where you can give him a longer contract. And if you're doing it like that, then what you probably would do is structure it in a maybe 5 to 7 year period, right? Again, it's very risky giving a receiver 5 to 7 years. You just don't know how long they're going to be good for, or if they're going to, still be at the top level once they hit, whatever age. This is why, for example, he's 24 years old, I believe. So he'll be 31 then when the contract's over. So that's why it's always weird to give a receiver that much money, or sorry, that length of time. But my guess is they'll do that, and they'll probably structure it to be backloaded a tad bit, and it will give different, signing bonuses. It'll probably have, I'm going to guess, if they do end up giving him a contract of that magnitude, it would be in ballpark range of like 190 for 7 years, which would be crazy. And then for a receiver at least. And then you would push that money in the very back there. You would put signing bonuses, create voidable years, push the money down the road, and really just try to bank on the fact the salary cap keep going up. Because that's really all you can do. That's really all you can do when it comes to this situation. It's going to be an interesting situation. And again, like I said, this is why this year is the best year to go win the Super Bowl, if any year, because you have the band together this year, right? You have the squad together. And that's why I think a lot of experts are saying we're going to win the Super Bowl this year, because they're like, hey, listen, this is the year. This is the year the band is going to be complete, right? And yes, in the future, it might not be. But right now, this is when it's complete. Now, I saw a lot of people commenting down below. Not a lot of people, some people talking about how we should go with DJ Reader over going with T. Higgins. Because obviously DJ Reader is on the, his final year of his contract. T is too. And I will say overall wise, I think with that situation, because again, D tackles, DJ Reader, obviously one of the best in the league, he can be successful and really play at the top of his game for another 3 to 4 years, at least, right? But the problem is, we did the same thing with Geno Atkins when we gave him a 4-year, $70 million contract extension, and after 2 years, he retired. So it's, I don't know if they're going to really look at it in that perspective, because if you give similar money to T, obviously more than $70 million, but if you give somewhat similar money to T, you think T, he's probably going to play for another 4, 5, 6 seasons, right? At least, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how they work it out. But again, that's why I do not envy being in the spot that Duke Tobin, Katie Blackburn, and all those guys over there have to do, because this is going to be a difficult situation to get figured out. Tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one.